Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared at this Turning Point USA event that's taking place over the weekend. We'll probably be looking at lots of different moments from it. And she talked with Steve Bannon, who is headed to prison very soon for defying a congressional subpoena. And I'll play you moments from that interview. We'll also jump over and look at the moment that went viral from her speech at this same event. And here's, I guess, what shocks me. I was talking to somebody over this weekend, and Marjorie Taylor Greene came up, and they said, no one really thinks that she makes any sense, right? And this person was center-right. So they were saying, I see you cover her, but she's just sort of, everyone thinks she's crazy, right? No. That's the really frightening thing. She has now become this representative of a massive chunk of the Republican Party, and that is shown by the support that she gets by the base. So let's just go through this interview chronologically. Again, we'll jump over to her interview as well at some point through this, but here's her laying the groundwork for, you guessed it, stolen election claims in this upcoming election.
For sealing it, are you saying that you think that there's not enough focus on the big steal down there?
Oh, absolutely. Look, the polling looks incredible, Steve. Everyone is so excited about the polling in Georgia. They're excited about the polling for President Trump all over the country, so much so they're practically measuring the drapes for the White House. I am not for that. Listen, everyone, what you need to realize is we do not have the White House. And as a matter of fact, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that President Trump is not back in there.
Just because we get 50.1% in a state like Georgia of the deplorables, they're just not going to sit there and say, oh, it's yours, take it, do what you want. They're going to fight us.
They're going to fight us. I know my state. Fulton County is one.
Right, and then she gets into that. And actually, I do want to play a little bit more from this section, then we'll get to the viral moment where she just loses her ever-loving mind. Not to get too much into this yet, but it really is disturbing that enough of the country resonates with what she's saying for her to be, like I said, so representative of the now power center of the GOP. But here's her saying, Atlanta's like Chicago, because Obama came from Chicago. And that's why we can't trust the election results.
One of the most corrupt counties in the entire country. Atlanta is very similar to Chicago, and people with history and knowledge of politics need to understand what that means. Obama came out of Chicago. Many corrupt politicians came out of Chicago.
Corrupt is one word, or it sort of seems like she's thinking of a different description as well there, but I'll let you fill in the blank. So then, before going on with more moments from this just whacked out interview, let me play this for you from her speech at this same event.
Proceeded to shut down the country.
By the way, I know you're thinking, Luke, when are you going to mention it? And I'm not going to mention anything about her outfit.
Over COVID. They masked school children. They shut down schools. They closed beaches. They silenced your speech. They kicked you off social media. They attacked the very core of our freedoms, all for a virus that they made in a lab in Wuhan, China. And yes, Dr. Anthony Fauci should be tried for crimes against humanity.
Hey, I'm Jaden. I'm one of the producers at The Luke Beasley Show. If you appreciate the work we're doing, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah. Get it, girl. Now, what on earth is she talking about? I don't know. We've tried to understand. We looked at clips from a hearing where she tried to articulate herself. It didn't help it make any more sense. But think about how deranged you have to be to target and death threats, Dr. Fauci said in a recent interview, just flood his and his family's direction when Marjorie Taylor Greene makes comments like that. Going after this lifelong public servant who advocated on behalf of the very medical science that's responsible for millions of lives now being saved when talking about COVID. We've now had analyses done that reveals we would have lost millions of more people if it weren't for the vaccine. something that Marjorie Taylor Greene is constantly spreading conspiracy theories. And the public health measures that some people abided by also made differences. Now, because of the rhetoric of MAGA, that didn't manifest in the way that it should have, these precautions. But I will remind you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, with her lies about this subject and others, is actually harming her voters more than almost anyone else. We've talked about the studies that shows Republicans were dying at twice the rate after the introduction of the vaccine than Democrats, because many of them were choosing not to take the vaccine for politicized reasons. So this has very real impact. And then I've said it before playing this next clip, just to circle back to it. The they, quote unquote, they that she uses is doing so much work. Who is this they? They shut us down when Trump was president, because that's when the shutdowns were all starting. And they created the vaccine. So are we still talking about Trump? Surely not. So we're talking about someone else, I'm sure. And then Fauci is a part of this, the person who just worked to try to advise people in power. He didn't make any decisions. He was advising people in power to do what was best given the information we had at that point in time. How are all these people connected? It's the globalist elite. That's why.
Fulton County, that is the way they roll. And the real issue is the establishment, the Republican establishment in my home state of Georgia wants Trump gone. Just like the establishment Republicans across the country want Trump gone. What they want, Steve, you and I both know this, and it makes us sick, we'll throw up. They want to bring the Republican Party back to the party of Bush, back to the party of Cheney, back to the exact party that we hate and we are burning down. We will never let the Republican Party return back to that, because that's the uniparty. The uniparty is the very party, is the reason why we're $35 trillion in debt. The uniparty is
more debt added under Trump than any other president in American history.
The reason why our borders are overrun, and Republicans never do a damn thing about it.
Including Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she blocked the border bill.
The uniparty is the reason why there's foreign war after foreign war after foreign war, all to support the defense military industrial base. That is the whole purpose. That's the...
And Joe Biden ended America's longest war, something that Marjorie Taylor Greene criticizes him for. Continuing.
We haven't even seen that warm of a welcome from our governor in Georgia.
Wow.
And so Georgia, look, Georgia, the people of Georgia will vote for President Trump. The people of Georgia will elect him to be president in the White House. We already did it. We did it in 2016. We did it in 2020. But the establishment Republicans and the Democrats in my state are the uniparty, and they will do everything they can to prevent him from being president.
We're going to pivot to policy, but...
And before we're going to pivot to policy, as if they would talk about policy in a meaningful way. But sorry for that strange fake laugh. But let me lay out what she's doing here. So when she says that the people of Georgia, or the people of Georgia, as she was doing it, they're going to vote for Trump, but it's the Republican establishment and Democrats who are going to prevent that from being realized, essentially. And she said that the people of Georgia voted for Trump in 2016 and 2021. Of course, they very much did not vote for Trump in 2020. If they had actually voted for Trump in 2020, he wouldn't have had to ask for 11,780 votes, specifically from the Secretary of State, asking him to engage in fraud to push Trump over the finish line, because he lost. And then the idea that it's going to be the Republican establishment, meaning more moderate Republicans who still care about a constitutional democratic process, and Democrats who prevent Trump from realizing that victory. What she means is they'll potentially say no if Trump comes along asking for them to fraudulently find 11,000 or whatever number of votes to make him win if he indeed loses. So it's scary. We talked about one of the reasons, really, since I've started the show, since it was after the 2020 election, that I put so much emphasis on the stolen election claims and then what those claims justified, or what they were using those claims to justify. So, of course, the attempt to block the peaceful transfer of power. But the reason these lies had to be called out so aggressively with any of these MAGA figures who used them was because we knew it was going to become a characteristic of the party and then would lead to future democracy deteriorating claims being made in future elections. And a part of MAGA being that you don't accept election results if you're the loser. And that's what we're seeing already. We're seeing the exact same claims preemptively being made. That if Trump loses Georgia, it's because the Republican establishment and the globalists and the Democrats and Dr. Fauci stole it from Trump.
The war in Ukraine does not deter war. It funds it, it causes it, it makes it, and it murders people. The second thing is, the war in Ukraine does not protect our national security interest. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it is causing major problems. Just this past week, President Trump talked about this in Washington. He is appalled. The American people are appalled that Russia has brought its warships 90 miles off of the coast of Florida down to Cuba. As a matter of fact, our national security interests are at risk because of Washington's bloodlust and obsession with foreign wars and the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, by the way, you don't even have to know what she's saying. Visually, she is just exuding this unhinged energy. As she's speaking, something doesn't seem right with how she's communicating her points. But to the substance of her point, interesting that she never uses the phrase Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's always the war in Ukraine. And then she tries to perpetuate this talking point that it's somehow the United States or our allies giving aid to Ukraine that's causing the continuation of this invasion by Russia into a sovereign country. And how she does that is one thing. How she does it and resonates, as I said before, with a bunch of people is a whole nother thing. Because Russia invaded Ukraine. Do you remember that, Marjorie? And they're currently doing that. This is not a war in Ukraine that somehow is... It doesn't even make sense what she's trying to communicate. Russia at any moment could stop the bloodshed by stopping their invasion, their offensive, illegal invasion. They choose not to every day. So if before the war even began, Putin was good with the idea, clearly, because he started it, with an invasion like this and a war, enough to do it, there was something that he wanted so badly that he was willing to start a war, then how does it make any sense to believe Ukraine being weaker would make Russia less likely to continue what they started? All of a sudden, whatever goals they want to accomplish just got easier because Ukraine can't defend itself as effectively. So a stronger Ukraine is the most likely thing to discourage Russia from continuing and is the most likely thing to stop the bloodshed and stop the violence. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, with her pro-Putin talking points, every single day is advocating for a world where more bloodshed takes place. Here's more.
Actually take the House even by one seat. Raskin's already said they would not certify President Trump's election.
They won't. As a matter of fact, that is a serious thing to bring up, and because I hear them say it. I hear them tell the press. I hear them say it on the Capitol steps. Democrats will not certify the election for President Trump. They're going to object, and I'm pretty sure every single one of them are going to object.
So on January 6th, if they're in charge, and the new Congress gets sworn in on the 3rd, right, on January 6th, when they go through the certification process, what Raskin talks about on NBC all the time, sometimes you're saying you've heard it, that's their plan.
You have not seen anything yet. You've not seen anything yet. If this country does not support Republicans running for Congress and we do not control the House on January 6th of 2025 and the Democrats are the controlling party of the House, they will not certify President Trump's election and our country will be in complete chaos. They don't care if the country elects Trump. They don't care.
Okay. Let me play a little more.
If the American people elect President Trump, it does not matter to them. They are completely against President Trump. They want him in prison. They want him dead.
Okay. Just before. Well, that did wonders to the hair. A couple things. First of all, that's what you tried to do, Marjorie. Sorry, I'm trying to smack the rage out of my head. That's what I was trying to do earlier. That's what you tried to do, Marjorie. They're acting like it's such a horrific prospect, which it is. The idea of people in power attempting to prevent the peaceful transfer of power in the case of Trump getting elected. But then, with no irony, they go, are you saying that on January 6th, members of Congress could try to stop the rightfully elected president from taking over? What? That's what MAGA did. It's crazy. And then now they're trying to preemptively say Democrats want to do that, so that whenever they try to do it, it's, oh yeah, but we're only doing it because Democrats would have done it, so it's sort of their fault. It's like preemptive self-defense. The most absurd thing ever. I could sense you were about to punch me, so I punched you in the face. But it's okay because I could tell you were about to. And then, what they can't get their brain around, whatever scrap of a brain Marjorie Taylor Greene has left, she can't get it around the idea that maybe other people who don't have your ideology do respect democracy enough to watch someone they hate take over power. Maybe Democrats, as we know would be the case, would certify the legitimate election results regardless of who wins. It's your side who refuses to do that. On the debate stage, I'm almost certain in the CNN debate, one of the questions is going to be, Biden, Trump, will you accept the election results? Biden's going to say yes so quick you won't know what to do with yourself. Trump won't. If it's fair, which means if he wins. But if they pretend like Democrats are willing to do that, it makes it less extreme when they do. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. And let me know if you also sometimes just feel the need to do that while we talk about these stories. And if you want to get access to the Daily Bonus Show, you can do so by clicking that join button below.